Aloha and welcome to TheLokomaiLife and this week's episode of Missing Mondays. This week I'm actually going to focus on a person who initially was getting some coverage, it looks like, as I did my research. However, over the couple weeks that have passed, into months, that coverage has kind of dried up. And the family is at a point now where they truly need the assistance and the help of the public. The person I'd like to introduce you to today is actually named Najib, Jubi, Monsif. He goes by a nickname of Jubi. What makes Najib a little different from most of my other videos so far is he's not a child like many of the other ones, or someone who may have been a runaway or something like that. This is a totally different type of case. This is actually a 20-year-old. Jubi was 20 years old when he disappeared on the 23rd. However, what is making this such an important case for us to get the word out about is Jubi is actually autistic. He's on the spectrum, and his family states that he functions at the level of an 8-year-old. So he has been missing at this point for a couple months, and anyone who has either an 8-year-old or someone on the spectrum realizes this is a very dangerous, and we need to get him home. We need to find Jubi and bring him home so that we pull him out of all the danger that he currently could be in. He actually went missing from Scottsdale, Arizona. His family lives there, and on the 23rd he went missing. Just a little bit about him. As you can see here, he goes by the nickname of Jubi. He's 20 years old. He's tall, 6 foot, however, extremely thin or skinny at 100 pounds. So he's tall, lanky, long arms, would have been a perfect basketball player. One of those. He has dark brown hair and brown eyes. When he went missing, his family is suspecting that he was wearing dark clothing and moccasins. If you have seen him whatsoever, as you can see, the Scottsdale Police are looking for him and are asking that people please contact the police department at area code 480-312-5000. When Jubi went missing, he actually was living with his parents, and from what I've been able to gather, yes, he was on the spectrum, but he did live a very rich life. He was very active, playing on computers, playing computer games. He played with his brother often. He had people he would talk with on the internet. You know how, heck, here we are on YouTube. We do the same thing ourselves here. And he was very close. For example, he would carry his cell phone with him everywhere and all that. On the night of the 22nd, everyone went to sleep, and his father has been interviewed, and his father said that night he was kind of in and out of sleep himself. And at around 2 a.m., he noticed Jubi walking down the stairs. I think I read that he was carrying a bag at the time or something like that. But his father did not put anything together. It was just, he was coming downstairs. All of us who know kids know our kids wander around. Heck, and if you're an older person, I myself, I live with my mom, and I'll wander into the bathroom and do all sorts of. When I was a teenager, I was all over the place. The house was my little area to rule the way I felt fit. And also, he was out that night, and around 2 a.m. saw him. When they woke up the next morning, Jubi was gone. This has been very concerning to them because they said, especially with where his mental capacity is, 8 years old, Jubi is not going to be able to take care of himself. Okay, the idea of someone at that age, the idea of where he is. He can't drive a car. Okay, he probably could not tell anyone where he lives. He's trusting of other people. He hangs out with others. He'll talk with people, things like that. So there's a very strong feeling among the family that he is with someone else at this point. And their personal feeling is not only is he with someone else at this point, but he most likely is with someone he may have met through his gaming. If any of you guys have ever been involved in gaming, you know that you do a lot of chatting the same way we do on YouTube. You're playing a game, and while you're out there, hunting things or killing things or searching for stuff or leveling up your character, you're sitting there having communications with people online. And the same way it is with YouTube, where we tend to open up and be more open about who we are on YouTube. It's the same thing in gaming. We tend to have less boundaries about talking about ourselves. There are also a lot of people who are not as open and honest out there, who will try to talk with others, and especially if they want to take advantage of them. So there's been a lot of concern that he did meet up with someone that he would play with on his PlayStation at times. There was a comment at one point he had mentioned to his family that they would never see him again. So was he talking to someone and someone was trying to get him to come along with the idea of, hey, come on, type thing? Couple things that did concern him. For example, as I mentioned, he went everywhere with his cell phone. His cell phone was an extension of himself. His cell phone was left at home that night. Very worrying there. He also had a puppy. I don't know about him, but I know me, I would never leave my puppy for long amounts of time. And if you look at someone who does have that mental capacity of an 8-year-old, that relationship with your pet is the world. So his puppy, who went by the name of Buddy, was the world to him. Why would he abandon him and leave like that? His father has been interviewed, as I mentioned, and during one interview, I broke down while watching the interview. His father broke down while talking, and just the emotions it gave me at that time. His father said that every single day he goes into Jubi's bedroom, and he bends down and he kisses his son's bed. It's all he has left to be able to hold on to is his son's bed. I know I do that. I lost my dad. He passed away a couple years ago, and I still will walk up to his picture on the wall. And I kiss my fingers, and I put my fingers to that picture. I know that feeling of not feeling like you have any ability to connect with someone that you just would give anything to connect with. His father said, once Jubi left, there was nothing beautiful left anymore. There was nothing beautiful left in life anymore. That alone, just the thought of that, he continued on saying that we have no life without you. He hoped he comes back and that he would have him for the rest of his life. The family has put out a reward. They're out there trying to find him even now. They are not giving up, and they don't plan on giving up, just like any other parent of a very loved child would do. They are not going to give up. There is I think, $100,000 reward out for any information that leads to finding Jubi. They are working on getting posters out. His father says, I don't leave the home without posters that I can hand off, signs that I can hand off to people. They're working on creating billboards so that they can have billboards across the state, so that if Jubi is anywhere in Arizona, he might see this picture of himself on a billboard and call home. They are definitely they're going to see him. They've got to see him again. They keep saying they've got to see him. And his sister talked about how very loved he was and how committed they are to bringing him back, and they will not stop. They ask for anyone who has any information, or if you yourself are the person who may have connected with Jubi at some point, to please come forward and talk to them about it, because they are not going to stop. This is not something that they ever plan on just saying, okay, well, we've tried, there's nothing we can do. Because that's not what you do when you lose someone that you care deeply about. The police department in Scottsdale has been really working hard on this case. And as I mentioned, this case actually did get a little coverage. I had never heard of it. But as I did more research, I discovered that they had actually done some coverage of it across the nation. In one of those, a detective, John Heinzelman, was interviewed on News Nation. And during that, they talked about how they're working from the home outward, trying to find information, because yes, this is a confusing case because it is an adult. It is a 20-year-old, but this is an adult who is operating at the level of an 8-year-old. So you have a totally different set of circumstances to work with. So they're working from the house outward. They definitely have come to the feeling that he is not alone. There's probably no way that he is on his own at this time. He would have to be feeding himself. He would have to be driving and staying out of everyone's attention, things like that. These are not things that he would be able to do on his own. He did have, and where they're really focusing right now is anyone who may have communicated with him. As I mentioned, he had a very strong presence on the internet. He played games all the time. He was on Twitter. He had a Gmail account. So if anyone who hears this message remembers speaking to Jubi, to Najib Monsif, please contact the police department. They would love to talk. It's not that anyone is the suspect or anything, but all of us know how much we talk with other people, and you know what? Maybe something was said that you haven't put one and one two, and they might be able to figure that out as you guys talk and just find out what was in his mind at the time leading up to his disappearance. So they're asking for people to please communicate with them on that. There was also the neighborhood itself. It was a residential neighborhood. However, 3 of the 4 corners of the neighborhood connected to places like Albertsons and the bank and things like that. And it seems from what I saw that police have tracked his scent to the Albertsons. Now, where that leads to and what that means, I don't know. But there was some discussion about that. As I said, this is a different case. People have asked, was there an Amber Alert? No, this was a 20-year-old. There was no vehicle to be able to connect to it. However, they did put out a Silver Alert. A Silver Alert is for endangered adults. This is serious enough that they have taken that step. They have connected with the FBI and asked for the FBI's help with this. They're hoping someone is communicating with him. Maybe he left on his own. But as someone who left on his own, he did communicate with people. So maybe someone out there at an Albertsons or at a store or something like that remembers Jubi's face. And a conversation. Maybe he talked about heading to this place or heading to that place. And they gave him ideas on how to get there. They want to get him home because it's not for him at this point to be on his own. He needs his family for that support. Even if he is, we all want our children to be independent, even when they are on the spectrum, and we work hard towards getting them there. But all the family wants right now is to make sure he's safe. So this week we are talking about Jubi. We want to find Najib Jubi Monsif. Okay, he is 20 years old. However, due to being on the autistic spectrum, he is operating at the level of an 8-year-old. He is tall, 6 foot tall, about 100 pounds, so tall, thin, lanky, dark brown hair and brown eyes. And when he went missing, he was probably wearing dark clothing and moccasins. If anyone remembers anything from talking before he disappeared on September 23rd or any time after that, please contact the Scottsdale Police at area code 480-312-5000. Again, thank you all so much for all your support with this series. I am getting more and more shares of people trying to get this word out, trying to be the voice of these children, trying to be a voice for these young adults who need their story told. Help us be part of their voice. Hit that share button. Come back next week for more information on someone else. But thank you all so much for everything you do every week in helping us get this word out and try to connect people and bring people home. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe for future stories that are part of this series, as well as our mental health series. I look forward to talking to you later this week. Aloha, thank you, and see you later.